They just want to know, is this medically safe? And hopefully with that information, they can get what they need from the doctor to know if it's medically safe.
Tara, another smart person asking questions to a lawyer while they're live. And the reason I say that is because, guys, I don't know if you've ever been in a law office. You'll get charged $1,000 just to use the restroom. So I would be smart and use the other 13 minutes that we have here. That's my opinion. So, Tara, what is your perspective around recommending supplements through an online dispensary like FullScript? Is our disclaimer enough? That's a very good question. I use FullScript myself, but I will say the way that FullScript has it set up, it's like pretty hard to argue that you're not just like giving a definitive protocol. I think they even call it a protocol on there.
Yeah. So there will always be temptation to do things that cross the line, right? And so I think in this case, this is a very lawyer answer. So I apologize for it, but it depends, right? It depends on what you're doing. I think full script is okay. I think it can be risky when when you're telling a client, hey, this can be beneficial, right? We're not prescribing it, but we're telling them, hey, this supplement can be beneficial. Also, here's my link to buy it through my shop. Like, it's a bit tricky. I think you can do it. But again, you just have to keep that lane, right? Like we talked about, you have to keep the client understanding the scope and understanding these supplements can be helpful. Here's where you can buy them, but we want that medical confirmation first. And so I think to answer your question specifically, Tara, around, right, recommending supplements through an online dispensary like FullScript, and is that disclaimer enough? It can be, right? Depending on what your disclaimer is, because not all disclaimers are created equal. We need a good disclaimer. And like we talked about previously with the contract, we want to actually let that disclaimer in that contract lead us to an actual conversation with our client to make sure that they truly understand that this is not a prescribe, treat, diagnose relationship, right? So once we've done that work, the onboarding process, right? Once the onboarding process has been done successfully, then I think when you're giving a client recommendations around these things can help, or giving education, right? We don't want to overstep, we don't want to prescribe. Once we're saying, hey, these things can be helpful, if your doctor confirms these are medically safe, here's an option for where to buy them, right? I think it really matters in the delivery. And just it, can an online dispensary like FullScript be okay? Yes. Can it not be? Yes. It just depends on your delivery and your use of the online dispensary. What you're doing is you're giving your client information. The doctor is giving your client information, right? And your client chooses what they want to do, right? So I think what we do with what you want to do is stay in that lane of this is what I'm providing. I wouldn't worry about needing to convince the doctor. I think, again, going back to your client sought you out instead of their doctor, right? So obviously there's some sort of disconnect or some sort of need for more, right? That's coming from your client. They have sought you out saying, hey, I'm seeing that I'm not healed from my doctor, or I'm seeing a desire to find something different. I think when you give your client your information, your education, your thoughts, and then you send them to their doctor for the confirmation, they're going to, again, like, you want the medical confirmation can be small. It doesn't need to be diagnose me with something in 5 years. Your client just needs the specific confirmation of will this protocol or will this potential path be medically safe. And
Sure.
so I think I wouldn't worry about finding a doctor, convincing the doctor. Just do what you do best. Do what your client has hired you to do. And then if there's a problem with the doctor, that you can sort that with your client, or it can be sorted out. But your job is educating your client and giving them information based on what you know how to do. And don't worry about controlling the rest of the medical field, because just like you said, they're two completely different things. They're not going to agree, and that's for good reason, right? They're two different fields. So just because you need that medical clarification, it doesn't mean that the doctor needs to buy into absolutely everything you're doing. The doctor just needs to say, is this medically safe?